And Mackey's on vacation.
Yes, man, was okay. Just getting through on this and I come on.
Oh, look at Tim's picture of that.
It's better his than mine.
I didn't do it. Ugly grin on my face. That's why I don't smile. I'm telling my niggas, they start with my niggas on that smile.
Everybody got a copy of the gym.
I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order of the Bladen County, Monday, May 8th, 2023, regular board meeting. We will call on Mr. McCoy to do our invocation, and after that, some students from Tar Hill Middle will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, so once again, Lord, we find ourselves looking to the hills from which cometh our help.
Yes, Lord.
Realizing, Lord, that all of our help come from thee. And we would be remiss this evening, Lord, if we didn't acknowledge just how good you've been to each and every one of us.
Yes, sir.
And tonight, Lord, we pray for a special blessing. We pray that you bless this meeting tonight in the way that only you know how. And we will forever give you your name to praise. This is our prayer. Amen.
Thank you, Chairman Benton. Board members, tonight we have Jaden Bethay, Javier Mendez, and Nicholas Musselwhite from Tar Heel Middle School, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
Please stand. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay. Board members, please stand, please.
At this time, we need to ask for approval of an amended agenda for tonight by removing action items 10.02 and 10.04. Our board attorney is not able to be with us this evening and be able to share information on these two action items.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, have been likewise. No opposition, motion carries. So we will work on an amended agenda tonight. Entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Okay, we got the,
For we're at 5.01. We just amended the agenda, right?
we're going to go by the amended agenda. We don't have to get an approval for, because that is the new agenda. So we're going by the amended agenda. Now we need an approval for
Of the minutes.
approval of the minute from the April.
17th meeting.
Chair, I move that we approve the minutes for the April 17th, 2023 meeting. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the minutes from April 17th. Is there any discussion? If none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. There is none, motion carries. Minutes are approved from the April 17th meeting. This time, number 6, spotlights and recognition. Dr. Atkinson, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chairman Benton and board members. We have several spotlights and recognitions we'd like to do tonight. First, we'll be starting with West Bladen High School FFA. Dr. Peggy Hester, principal, will be calling out the information for this.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members. First, we'd like to recognize Carly Atkinson in first place at FFA Creed in the South Central region.
Y'all listening?
One, two, three. Love you all.
Now we have the West Bladen track team.
So I would like to recognize our West Bladen High School girls track team, who are the 2023 conference champions. Jara Best. Talayla Buffet. Janila Hunter. Adaris Jimenez. Zabriana Johnson. Sierra Lawson. Alicia Lawson. Kiera Lewis. Azealia McDonald. Trinity Mears. Trinity Van Eycken. And Coach Stanley Williams. Have a look for you. Corner in the front, please. There you guys. Everybody smile, look at the camera. 1, 2, 3, smile. Smile. Yeah, good job.
Next, we'll have West Bladen varsity men's basketball.
Next, we would like to recognize our West Bladen High School men's basketball team through the 2023 conference champions. First, we have Hezekiah Adams, Gavin Elks, Cornelius Esters, Talik McCall, Eli McCollum, Anthony Mitchell, Connor Monroe, Andre Moore, Jackson Tate, Gary Parker, Chase Williams, Riley Klein, our manager for the team, and Lorenzo Rogers, who's also a manager.
Walter.
And last but not least, Walter Beeline. Coaches with us tonight are Brian McClintock and Coach Travis Pate. Coach Pate is being recognized for coaching the championship team and being recognized as coach of the year. Now, thank you, Rose, for me. You have the short one. Everybody, I'm sorry. We're gonna do- Y'all like, you can see, we got some tall, that's top players, how wonderful. Everybody smile, look handsome, smile again, and one more time. Perfect. How you doing?
Next, we'll have East Bladen High School cross country. Miss Georgia Spalding, our principal, will be sharing the name on the names for us.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
With great pleasure that I introduce to you members of our East Bladen High School Cross Country Midlands Conference Championship team. Jacob Calder. Knut Jacob. I'm sorry, Jacob Knut. Brianna Phillips. Naya. And our coach of the year, Coach Wilson Bowler. While they're taking a picture, Brianna Phillips, Naya Wooten, cross-country regional participant.
Everybody smile. Smile one more time. One more time. Great job.
Yes. He knows how to use them. Oh, yeah.
It is with great pleasure that I now introduce to you East Bladen High School's varsity girls basketball conference tournament champions. Cabria Baldwin. Megan Burney. Ariel Cromartie. Anna Gray Eustace. Nia McCoy. Brianna Phillips. Carly Priest. Martha Simmons. Layla Smith. Zoe Smith. Nia Wooten. I have with us tonight Coach Patty Everett, Assistant coach Megan Purdy. And assistant coach Alan Webb.
Can you make sure everything, or the ones in the front, please? Y'all handle it so well, y'all be leaders, I love it. Can I see everybody, everybody see me? Make sure you can see me. 1, 2, 3. Ready? Okay, perfect, okay, great job. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Get my steps in as they say.
Explain
And at
again.
this time, as East Bladen High School principal, I would like to introduce to you members of our varsity men's basketball 2023 conference champions. Malcolm Bolden, Chris Harden, Rodney Laceville, Malachi Monroe, Jacob Nixon, Hayden Taylor. And we have with us Coach A. King Elton. Who was our coach of the year. Coach of the year.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Smile again for me. Bigger smile. Sorry, Ben.
Next, we will have Tar Hill Middle School Battle of the Books. Ms. Teresa Coleman, principal, will be calling out the names for us this evening.
David Moore, I'm Teresa Coleman, principal of Tar Hill Middle School. I'm going to represent 2 of our winning groups in the season. First, our Battle of the Books team, members being Jaden Bethay, Javier Cabrera Mendez, Emily Campos Estrada, Everly Nance, Eulalie Medina Lava, with the coach, Linda Murillo. These people finished first place in Bladen County, represented Bladen County at the regional and finished 5th in the competition.
Smile again. And one more time. Great job.
Congratulations.
We got a few more times, I think.
As long as it has been.
Our next set from Tar Hill Middle School is our junior beta club and elementary beta club. They've won various events throughout the time there, so we're going to just go over their names and I don't know that we're going to. There's a lot of people did stuff, good stuff. We'll start out with Dalen Vino Gomez, Jaden Bethay, Javier Cabrera Mendez, Emily Campos Estrada, Haley Cooper, Anthony Corbett, Maya Crawford, Abigail Dude, Jason Dallas, Genesis Fernandez, Gilatuta, Brandon Geronimo Castanon, Rosendo Geronimo Castanon, Brian Maldonado Ortiz, Alex Merwin Felix, Alyssa McCoy, Haley McCoy, Sherelle McCoy, Cooper Mills, Nicholas Musselwhite, Everly Nam, Delana Hayes, Andy Rodriguez Savant, Julia Sanchez Leon, Mia Valesco Garcia, Ruth Valesco Garcia, Delaney Beninga Bobbitt, Wendy Sandoval. Our sponsors of this group of students that are present tonight, Noel Dennis and Amanda Murillo.
Can you come forward, that front row goes forward? Can I get another row to fill in behind that front row? Now you stay still on the front row. Front row stay still, and then fill in on the second row. And then everybody else, I gotta get y'all to come in. There you go, fill in the back. Okay, make sure you can see me. Make sure I see your face, don't hide. Everybody ready? I need to see you. I need to see you. You need to see me. 1, 2, 3. Smile. One more time. One more time.
Okay.
All right. Good job.
At least we don't have it.
It takes a while.
This case.
Oh, yeah.
The house out there. Last one ought to do it.
And next, we have some staff members who have achieved their Rethink certification. Mrs. Whitesmith will be calling those names for us.
Rethink Education, these teachers have committed to doing 40 hours of training, 28 hours of blended instructional model and an online course with 10 hours of synchronous sessions with a regional professional development consultant. They have 2 hours of professional support with a regional professional development coordinator. They receive a $1,000 stipend and they get their Rethink Education facilitator badge. So we start off with Mr. Marcus Edge, Nicole Kinlaw, Megan Kirby, Crystal Mikulski, Stephanie Norris, Elizabeth Reed, and Vanessa Hunt. The demographic round for all. It's gonna be extremely sports. We're so proud of them. You ready? 1, 2, 3. One more time. Smile big. Perfect. Our last award for the evening goes to Ms. Patty Evers. She has been elected for the Board of Directors for North Carolina Athletic Directors Association.
Are we seeing?
Yeah, that is what Willis said. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time. One more time. Big, thank you.
Excellent. Chairman Benton and board members, that concludes spotlights and recognitions for this evening.
Thank you. Excellent. At this time, we'll move to citizen participation.
Don't have any.
Okay. Information item number 8.01, Tar Heel School Construction Project Update. Dr. Axon and Mr. Burris.
Thank you, Chairman Benton and board members. We have with us Mr. Mike Burris this evening. We're having some computer problems. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up for the future. Share the information. Thank you.
Good evening, I'd like to announce that the Tar Heel School progress is going very well. School has completed its roofing in and windows going in, every area going on the side of the building. Interior finishes are starting. We've got drywall in the admin area. We've got paint starting on some of the walls. The mechanical rough-ins are about 60 to 70% complete. And electrical rough-ins are following right behind. Fire protection is almost complete. So things are progressing very well and the work is going on. That's quick the site. Second page of the report gives you an update of the financial status of the project. As you can see that we're about a little more than halfway through with the project now, getting close to 60% of the construction. Still have various allowances that are in the process of being used or have been used in the project, and we give you an update of that. There is still an owner's contingency allowance that continues to be used if issues come up that are in the project site, and this is a recap of those are provided for you. Overall, of the $47 million project, you have a balance remaining right now of $1,092,000. Construction progress is staying on the schedule or a little ahead of it. Overall, still look to be completing the building by December of this year and then completing the second phase by April of 2024. You can see the list of the change orders that have happened with the project that have gone against the contingency or the allowances that we have in the project, and a recap of those. We have a list of the pending change orders and architectural change orders that may be pending. Small items that they're addressing. We've completed the review of the controls for the process, and commissioning teams are already started on the job. They've witnessed the geothermal fields flushing and testing for its mechanical systems. We've done the flushing and testing for the piping systems within the building. And they'll be moving forward then as they're starting to install the equipment to do the commissioning testing of all of those, to make sure the building's going to operate properly. We do have one pending item that's causing a little bit of concern on the project. There are some water source heat pumps that are on the project that have again experienced another delay in their delivery from the manufacturer. The general contractor, though, in response with that and working with the mechanical contractor, have identified areas to put in temporary cooling into the building to allow us to continue doing finishes with sheetrock, ceiling tile, and other items. We do expect the units to arrive in the middle of July, but they were been here next month. So they continue to have manufacturing delay on those, and that's I've seen in several projects that I have around the state. For the past 30 days, you can see a list of the items that were completed for the project. Electrical wiring is being pulled, and the details are shown on that. Metal roofing, coping, flashings, and gutters are being installed now. And the geothermal project is almost nearing completion. Chipboard finishes have started inside the building, and prime painting has started on the CMU walls in the classroom rooms. For the next 30 days, we'll be doing more flushing and testing of the hydronic systems, so the mechanical systems on the site. We'll be finishing up with the sheetrock. There'll be rough grading around the building will be nearing completion. The final storm drains and the hard surfaces around the site will be starting to be put in place, sidewalks and those kinds of things. The last, a couple of pictures on the back of the pages, you can see mechanical systems that are being installed and electrical panels that are in place. And overall, the progress is continuing to do very well. Teams are working very well and very safe on the project. And I commend the Bordeaux team and all their subcontractors. Any questions?
Do we have any updates on the tanks that we talked about,
Excuse me?
the water tanks?
The water tank is on order, it's in place, the designs are completed. The pad will be started at the site grading when it's finished. So it's ready to be delivered and you don't expect any delays in that portion of it.
And when should we receive it?
You should receive it in June, I believe the tank arrives and will be completed by the end of July.
So we on schedule?
We're all scheduled for that, yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for that. Okay, we'll move on to item 8.02 AIG, the local plan addendum, Ms. Cheryl White Smith.
Good evening, Chairman Denton, Board, and Superintendent. Ms. Jacobs, Ms. Moffitt, and myself are here to provide you some additional information on explaining our academically intellectually gifted program, our AIG program, Project Talent, to all of our middle schools. The main goal is to provide equitable access to all of our identified AIG students and students that excel academically. From the data, our parents and students are choosing to stay at their home school. With increasing numbers of students wanting to stay at their home school, it has created an opportunity for us to review our plan, our data, and to be able to provide these services to these students at their home school in their core classes. Teachers at the middle school will be given the opportunity to be able to get a local AIG endorsement, or they may choose to get an add-on licensure for the AIG through NCDPI. Some of the questions you had for us at the last meeting were the cost of 4 teachers with salaries and benefits to providing these services to the 37 students for next year would be approximately $276,000. According to Dr. Heavenridge, the cost from the student's home to CFD is $1,694.90 per trip. With this expansion of Project Challenge to all of our middle schools, our students will be able to receive AIG services with their students being served in light groups and enriched environments that will provide meaningful learning to all of our students. Also, we have found out that we do not have to do an addendum to our plan as written. It is already covers what we're doing with these changes. And also in surrounding counties, the plan matches what's going on in other counties.
Ms. White, give me those 2 numbers again, please.
Okay, for 4 teachers, it's $276,000. And then the travel is $1,694.90 per trip. And if you multiply that by 178, it's $1,050 more than for the children going from their home school to CFD. I think is what Dr. Heavenridge.
It's 1,000 what?
$50 more per trip.
When you say per trip, that means a day?
Dr. Heavenridge?
Per trip means you have 2 trips, AM and PM.
Yep.
Per trip means AM is going to be $1,694. PM trips, $1,694.
And that's to go to Clarkville School of Discovery.
That's go to Clark School Discovery from their home. And then if they go,
How many buses is that?
Somebody just said we had 37 students.
That's for next year, 37.
How many we got this year?
55.
And we got 5 buses picking up 55 students?
Plus, that's kids, they also pick up other students, correct? I don't know. Dr.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
they can,
Down here, Rich, you don't mind if you step up here and help her out, please.
Yeah, I don't know about transportation, I'm sorry. I'll let Dr. Heavenridge answer, but,
This is a lot of money. We need to make the right decision.
the yellow buses pick up more than just Project Challenge students. If we also have, Clarkton has application students.
Okay,
Mhm.
those buses pick up those students also. Especially if they live in proximity to the Project Challenge students, then we provide that transportation. Plus, you have those students who live in the Clarkton district also, who the buses are picking up now. Well, they have been, yeah, they always pick them up. So, but this cost here is just looking at this year, 6th through 8th grade Project Challenge students.
That was the 55 students.
Yeah. And did you send them a copy of that?
They've got it.
So how many eighth graders do you have in it? 23?
Never
So,
leave them.
so those that are grandfathered in, that we should have something like 30 next year.
37
Okay.
total
Okay.
for 6, 7, and 8.
So if you got those buses picking up other students that are not for Project Challenge, how could you come up with $1694.90 if you can't, if you,
I just need the Project Challenge students only. That's how much it costs per mile.
per mile?
Per mile. Well, no, it's $2.73, $2.7372 per mile for the children that are in Project Challenge.
So you went in your computer,
That's 619.21 miles.
so you did a specific route for just the Project Challenge, took the miles down and multiplied by the 273.
No, we didn't do it.
You can't,
What we did was, we took the children who are in Project Challenge only, okay? And we used the TIMS program, which is the SQL specifically, it's like Google Maps except on steroids.
we made a route to figure out how much.
Students, the program identified how much it is, what the mileage is from their house to Clarkton School Discovery. And that's what the mileage was that was put in. It's there. That's what the mileage is.
In other words, you made a route to figure out how much it costed.
So I didn't make a route to figure it out. I just used the children and their home address and Clarkton School Discovery. And the program gave us how many miles it is from their home to Clarkton School Discovery.
But they're riding buses that are already out. They're already out there living.
Is already out there and it's picking up all the children. But I was asked, for specifically for Project Challenge students.
So really, really, we're not wasting money if the buses are already out there.
Well,
I think what he's getting to is that we don't have these 5 buses, just picking up those students specifically.
we do not,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
We have application children. We also have children who live in the Clarkton School Discovery District. Okay, but if you applied it just to those Project Challenge students, the cost for that, then yes, it is, the dollar figure is what it costs
So
per mile.
we're gonna have 37 students next year, so that cost should go down.
It would go down.
Do you have an idea?
No, I haven't figured that one up yet,
So how do you pick?
but I can figure it up. It won't take long.
So what's the homeschooling here? 644.39.
Their house to their homeschool. If you see it to the side, to the column, it says like, the first says THM. That's Tar Heel Mill, that's their homeschool. From their house to the homeschool, it would be 7.63 miles and so forth.
But that's, if we're not wasting any money, because they're already buses are already out there, that's completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's gonna be phased out anyway, right? Everybody gonna be going to the homeschool.
No,
I don't know.
No, the students-
That's y'all.
no, about understanding from the plan is the students who are already attending Clarkton or would be attending this year have already completed, they can still attend Clark, and that's not changing. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
they'll still have
saying.
transportation and everything. That's not going away.
That's
I mean, that's
what
where
I'm
some of the
saying.
confusion may be. Those students will still be provided transportation. Now, you have some who are AIG identified that are letting to stay at their home school. What the plan will do is to provide services at their home school if they're AIG identified and staying at their home school. But the students that are already going to Clarkton or will be going to Clarkton will still have transportation to go to Clarkton and still get services there as well.
That's just the seventh, eighth, the sixth.
That's the incoming sixth graders, that'll be fifth graders now that have already said they're gonna go, and then that'll be this year's current seventh graders, which will be eight, and this year's current sixth grade, which will be seven.
So after then, everybody be going to their home school.
Well, not necessarily, that will be something that the board would determine after next year, because we need to determine for the next incoming group if you all want to continue transportation or not. Basically, the gist of the plan is just to expand services to the middle schools. It's not going to change the students that are attending there now. Now, there'll be some schedule changes in all four middle schools, obviously, to work through the clusters. But anyone that's already going to Clarkton or signed the paperwork or will sign the paperwork to say, I still want to go to Clarkton, they can still go, and we will still provide transportation under this plan.
But you know what I don't understand? I don't understand how we can build a new school, take the kids from the new school and bring them to another school. What do we build a new school for?
You know, it's parents' choice, so whatever the parents.
It's parents' choice, but if we were to choose to vote for that, then we wouldn't be transporting them back to Clarkton. So it would be, they'd have to, really, it's not their choice. If it develops a hardship, they can't ride a bus.
Well, no, we're not doing anything with transportation. There's no,
We just gave you those.
this is just the information.
Information.
We won't need to decide anything about if the board wants to continue transportation until this time next year for the upcoming group. Part of do a little bit earlier, because I think y'all start your work around January, February. So there's no vote or anything to change transportation now, because
Oh, definitely. It's just question.
yeah, that we're just for information. So like I said, any of the students that are currently there now that want to stay, or those that have already turned paperwork in to say, I want to attend Clarkton. And you've got some that says, no, I want to stay at my home school. The plan will, and the reworking of schedule will help make sure that if I'm AIG, if I'm an AIG student and I attend Tar Heel, for example, and I want to stay at Tar Heel, that I will be getting services at Tar Heel.
The same one,
Right.
like at Clarkton. So why move?
Well, we have some are like that not, and we have how many have said this year from fifth grade at this point that are going, do y'all know have a number on that? How many have already had said they were going to Clarkton this year?
See, that was my next question.
Yeah, do we have that number?
Identified per school, how many we have?
Yeah.
The kids who attend 10 from other schools that have said they're going,
It says 6.
or 10, 6 middle school, 10 total, it'll be in that sixth grade.
It's why, what schools are those?
I don't know.
Do you have a breakdown?
The 6 from the other middle schools.
Oh,
4 come from Clarkton, from attendance side. The other 6 are.
2 are from Each Town Middle,
Say
2
again?
are from Each Town Middle, and 2 are.
That want to stay at E-Town Middle?
And they want to go to
They
Clark.
want to go to Clark. Okay.
And 2 are from Tar Heel.
That want to stay at Tar Heel.
No,
They want to go to Clark. Okay. I'm just getting clarification.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Where's the other 2?
You said it's 37.
There's 6.
Oh, yeah, 2 from Lakeboro.
Right, 2 from West. So we have 2 from each of the other middle schools. 2 from Woodstown, 2 from Clarkton, and that's 6th grade. Our 7th grade, we have 2 that are in the attendance area, and we have 13 from other middle schools that are attending Clarkson.
Oh,
So that's a total of 15 for 7th grade.
Okay.
For 8th grade, we have 5 that are in the attendance area of Clarkson, and then we have 7. So that's a total of 12. So this, at the 8th grade next year will be 12 children and a class. The 7th grade will be 15 and the 6th grade will be 10.
So how many of those kids did they bring from Clarkton?
How many of the kids are they?
From Clarkton in the eighth grade?
They are, oh, right, oh, I don't know.
We were looking at
If you look
for
at the list
next
that I
year. This is where we're making the changes for next year, so we're looking at the number.
I mean-
next
If you look at the list that I made up for you, where it says homeschool distance,
Mhm.
where you see where it says like the initials for the school, that's the child's home school. That's where their home address is in.
We don't have that.
We could put that, had student name and ID numbers, that could be put.
Okay.
No, we
But
don't
you
have that.
They've got a,
have-
I gave them a summary of what you had there in terms of the two. So what they would need for making an informed decision next year, if you all decided, would be the actual figures from the 37 students to what that transportation costs. So actually, that number is really just information. It's not going to help you all make a decision next year if we decide to continue transportation or not. But we would need to get that, and we would know that once enrollment is finalized, we can pull those addresses and get that for you.
You have 20 from the town middle district. Attending Clarkton this
Oh,
year.
no.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking about a program that we want to implement at every school that we've designated to offer this, right? So that the kids don't have to travel to Clarkton School Discovery, they can get it right at their school. Am I right?
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
parents were choosing for their children.
I understand it.
to travel. So, we, from the data, and what we're getting is that parents are choosing to have their kids stay at their home schools. And I
Right.
give that up to our middle school principals. They're offering more electives, they're doing more things to of interest to the children. So it's a drawing card where they want to stay. So from that data, we have to look at what are we doing to serve these children all the way across the district? What are we doing to make equitable access, equitable services for all of our students that are AIG? Or now we're working on our higher achievers, that we are like our top 10% at each school. We're working with those kids to provide them services. So this, from that data, that's why we came up, wanted to mention to the plan to all be able to offer the services, the AIG services to all of our middle schools. It's not about the travel was a piece of information for you to have.
Right.
And then we definitely need it.
Right.
But if I'm gonna travel from Tar Heel to Clarkton, and I can
Across
get
the
the
county.
same services at Tar Heel, what sense does that make?
Well, it really, Mr. Rhoda, it really is the parent's choice. In this day and age, if the parents want to send their children to Clarkton, that's their choice. It's like it's their.
Isn't that against the law?
No.
Isn't that against the law?
No, the parents' rights, but no.
It's great things happening at their
So I
school.
disagree.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that not. I'm just saying if they're getting the same services at every school, why would a child need to travel?
That's what.
But
Would they actually get the same service?
That's what they just.
I already said they would.
No, at Clarkson School Discovery, wouldn't they get, wouldn't it be a little bit different there?
We're looking at all of our middle schools being practically about the same.
Okay.
Timing, scheduling the class periods, looking at core hours. The electives may be different, yes, because electives are depending on the class.
What would be the advantage of someone from Tar Heel going to Clarkson?
It would be a parent's choice.
So that's not an
I
advantage.
mean, I don't know,
We're speaking of what's being offered at Clarkton that might not be offered at Tar Heel.
might be the electives may be different. Core is gonna be the same. Core is your math, your English, your science and social studies. That's gonna be the same across all 4 schools. Where you're gonna be different, the differentiation is gonna come in at your elective periods. What does Clarkson offer during their elective periods compared to Blainborough's electives
That's
or,
Okay.
Tar Heel's electives?
So we can't offer those same electives at the other schools?
It all depends. Clarkton has this formula where their teachers give up their planning period for their electives. They do different electives, how they meet at Clarkton. Our CTE classes, and we offer, Ms. Niels has made it where our CTE, we've got an ag that's being offered at our other 3 middle schools.
She here.
Meals is somewhere here. So we got CTE that's being offered. And so, it's just, it all depends on there she is. Our, can you tell what our CTE programs that are being offered at middle schools?
Currently, we have agriculture programs at Tar Heel, Bladenboro, and
And Clarkton chose to have an art So their school will be art, so they have an art teacher full-time instead of doing the act.
Okay, so if a student wants to take art, he's got to go to Clarkton to do that?
No, it's offered at all of our schools.
Okay.
So they have a full-time art teacher that they do other services.
So I guess what I'm asking is,
What is the difference?
yeah,
Okay, I don't know all their names of their electives, but let's see, there's a social, I'm gonna try to.
it's an AIG program across the district.
Yeah.
Every school should be doing the same thing.
But the elective times for all students, not just AIG children.
I understand.
The AIG program will be the same. That's what we're bringing up to you, is we want it to be the same across all 4 levels.
I have a question. And I had a parent contact me today, and this parent has a student in the program. And what she's concerned about is that, and she actually wants her child to continue going to Clarkton instead of their high school. And she's concerned that that's not going to be available for her. That's not going to be a choice for her. So just to clarify, you do not have plans to shut down this thing, and that's not part of your proposal.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right, thank you.
In reference to that, Dr. Atkinson, if you don't mind, may I ask you a question? Sure. Is there any way we can have a town hall or a public hearing with parents involved? Because I myself am getting emails and phone calls from parents, and it's confusing how these slides are written up and they view the agenda and everything is confusing. And before we vote, I think we need to, in the future, I really think we need to involve parents into this one.
Well, there's no vote on this tonight.
No, but I'm saying,
Again, when we go to the consideration of transportation, that kind of thing, we can very easily do that, have a town hall meeting. It could be done in each of the 4 middle schools because you're going to be affected by that. So folks could attend the one closest to their home, so they would have, or we could do it simple. Most of the time, you try to do that in their. That's something that could very easily be done to talk about the program. That will give information if you are considering any changes with transportation at that point. Then you can kind of hear, from parents, this works well for me, this does not work well for me, any concerns they may have. But again, this year, they still have that option, so that's not being taken away from them. But yeah, that's a good point. We could host information sessions, a Q&A, and they could ask questions, and we could do that at each 4 middle schools.
Right.
yeah, because if I may, there's a few things. Forgive me, I don't hate none of you. I love y'all. Y'all are great to work with, but after this, y'all might hate me because I've got questions for you. So, there's parents, just hear me out because I got a list of stuff. There's parents that are worried that this is going to do away with 5th grade. Matter of fact, though it may not do that, if we take and we let these students go to their home schools, what is that gonna do to Clarkton School Discovery? How many students will be leaving there when that was originally the Project Challenge School? That's what it was there for.
Well, we had some numbers last month where you shared, or if you've got them handy. It's been a steady decline of students wanting to remain at their home school.
Yeah.
And that's been going on for quite some time.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. There's a decline in the students that want to remain, or did I understand you before when you said that actually more parents want to have their students remain?
Yeah, a decline in going to Clarkton. They're choosing to stay.
Okay, I got it.
The number that are attending, you see at Clarkton now has been going down.
We used to have 63.
What do we have now?
It's high number, 63 was our highest. And this declined through the years. That was 2017, 2018. 2018-19 went down to 58, 19-20 went up to 62, 2021 went down to 56, 21-22 went to 49, 22-23 went to 48, and then 23-24 is 37.
Yeah, but we're still recovering from COVID. I mean, I would say that the decline had to do with trying to teach people on the computer and not students wanting to be in it.
But honestly, this has nothing to do against Clarkton. This is
No.
This is to provide these services to our other 3 units.
No, I totally understand that. And I agree with that. It should be, and to my knowledge, I mean, have we gotten to the point that we could make this available at every middle school and financially have the teachers there. I don't see, because the numbers aren't high enough to have four teachers in all four middle schools.
Our principals are meeting on that, and it's not that there might be a period, a cluster of kids. That's why the word cluster of teachers, of like children. It might be a period of, a class period of children that are all light academically for AIG, or they might be high academically. That will be in a group. Which is what is at Clarkson. The thing, it's hard to justify 10 children in a sixth grade class when you have 32 sitting across the street in a sixth grade class.
Well,
That's where you get,
if you got AIG and non-AIG, then it's justified just fine.
no, but it's hard to justify.
No, it doesn't. That's not equity.
And it's hard to justify when you have 12 in a class and 17. And financially, it's hard when we're struggling for teachers. Y'all know how hard it is for us to get teachers, certified teachers. Hardin has had a vacancy all year long in science, AIG science, and we've not been able to fill it all year long. We've had to put extra duties and paid teachers and extra planning for their planning period to teach the AIG children in science.
So how are we gonna get AIG teachers in these other schools?
That's where we've got the local endorsement. That's where we're gonna do the local endorsement. The principals have already talked with their teachers. And hopefully we'll move them on to where they want the add-on licensure for NCDPI.
And I've spoken to teachers at my schools, and I have someone already interested. I've kind of just been generating a list. I already have from kindergarten all the way up, teachers who are interested in taking these classes. They're very interested. They're just a little scared about taking the test, about the state test.
Practice.
Right.
It
They're
seems-
scared about that.
It seems to me that a lot of things play into this, with the charter schools, the new school that we're building. I mean, it's just not one thing playing into it.
So you're not scared that if we try to move some of these schools out into middle schools and stuff, instead of keeping them where they're at, they're gonna leave for private schools?
Well, we're not moving anybody. It's hard to
Well,
school.
I know, I understand that. It's still a school of choice. But if I'm not mistaken, for example, Tar Heel. If we say, hey, let's open up Tar Heel to AIG. Well, now we're opening the door to say, okay, you got school choice, but you're in Tar Heel's district. We're not gonna come and budget you to Clarkson. If you want to go to Clarkson, right?
We're still busting. That's not changing right now.
Right.
Right.
In the future.
Well, we hadn't got to that point. That's what we're talking about, doing the potential town hall meetings. That would be a consideration for the board at some point next year, if you want to continue to provide the transportation to have to be that school of choice. But we're not at that point now. Anyone that's attending now or has said, I want to attend Clarkson, we're still gonna provide that transportation at this point. So none of that's gonna change. Because that's definitely a much bigger picture that you all need more information about, and we need to gather information about. So that's why we said, from a plan perspective, we will not make any changes at this point, and then we have time to get that data, let you all make an informed decision later in the next academic year. Do we want to continue to maintain that, have those parent meetings, get that feedback, and then you all can make an informed decision. Do we want to continue providing transportation to keep that a school choice and still maintain other programs or not? So.
Can you, Ms. Jacobs, can you remember any of the, because on the form, when the parents fill it out, they decide they don't want to go to Clarkson, they can provide a reason. And I don't know if you can recall.
Can you provide us a form? Just for our-
I have them all together, in fact, yes.
I have,
Yeah, it has the students' names and everything on there, but just kind of.
I don't, we don't really need the students' name.
Okay.
Just,
Sure, yeah.
we would like to know what's,
Yes.
yeah. And definitely want to know what some of their concerns are.
Really, the ones who said no, it's just they're happy at their home school. Happy at their home school. And I just have my biggest issue is every week I go in for 60 minutes to serve my AIG kids at my middle schools.
Mhm.
And our theme in North Carolina for AIG is AIG all day, every day. And so that's my biggest problem is that we have these other students at other schools and they're only getting 60 minutes per week from an AIG certified teacher, me or Ms. Moffitt, when they can be getting it all day, every day, as the state dictates they should be getting. That's the thing with this. Yeah, that's what we're,
Probably a no-brainer then.
Yeah.
We have 14 teachers right now that are certified in Bladen County Schools with AIG. 6 of them are in the classroom, 8 of them are in district roles.
As far as certified, we mean they've taken the practice test, they've taken
They've
the
got
classes.
AIG,
What is your plans on getting more people certified?
the local certification.
So how long does that take roughly?
It means we can do it in a couple of days with the summer, or we can spread it out, whatever.
Okay.
it's like 2 days of training. And then if they would like to get more, Ms. Moffett and Ms. Jacobs can do some praxis prep with them, because Ms. Jacobs took the praxis and helped with that. So if big teachers want to get more NCDPI, add-on license over AIG, they'll be able to have that opportunity. And in the plan, we pay for those teachers to take the test
So
or reimburse them.
complex question from a parent here. How can a teacher with a 2-day certification have the capability to teach children to their full potential while meeting standards and growth expectations? Obviously, that it's harder to grow somebody that's at 99%. You got to have teachers with special skills. You can't just get a 2-day certification and be able to do that.
Well, I took a test.
You did.
I had 25 years of it, almost 25 years of experience. And a lot of these teachers that we're talking about, these other schools, they are highly qualified teachers with master's degrees. We're talking about at Tar Heel, at Bladenboro Middle, at Clarkton, everywhere. I would say that Bladen County has highly qualified teachers everywhere. You know, and we can just do this add-on. I mean, that's, I mean, we're not talking about teachers who are not qualified. They're already qualified. They're already in the trenches. And all we need is this certification. They already know what to do.
We, at Clarkson too, we have one certified AIG teacher teaching that's got the license. We have one waiting on getting her final license. She's passed the test. She's waiting. We have 3 teachers. We have 1 vacancy. I mean, 4 teachers. So we have 1 vacancy and 3 teachers. So right now we have teachers that do not have their AIG certification teaching our AIG children and doing a phenomenal job. So I want to piggyback back on that with Ms. Jacobs. Bladen County has some great educators.
Fantastic, fantastic.
And our principals are going to put their best in teaching these children. So we got to put faith in our children, I mean, in our teachers and our principals.
No, I'm not saying I don't have faith
Like I
in
said,
it.
I just took a test. There are teachers out there who have 25 years of experience, same as I. All they need to do is take a test or take this 2-day certification. We can, you know.
So with this
I
2-day
studied for-
certification, do they realize that it's just a local certification?
Yes,
They
right.
can't go nowhere else.
But we hope that
There's a woman to go
after they'll go on and get the state certification.
And that will also provide differentiation of instruction. How do you teach the AIG child? The characteristics of AIG children. There'll be lots of things in there that go along with that. An AIG child is probably one of your most unorganized children that you will ever find. Their stuff spread out everywhere. But you know, that knowing that characteristic of that child helps you teach that child.
Right.
One of your questions was about being concerned about student leaving. I think this is gonna make people want to come back because it's gonna be offered at multiple schools within their district.
I agree.
And also, we're talking about high flyers, so you don't have to be AIG identified. We're looking at that top 10% at every school, including Clarkson. That would be in addition to that cohort of AIG identified students. So you're opening the opportunities up for more students now that potentially could be AIG, or maybe they just can't pass that test. But they're choosing to go to other places because they're gonna get these other opportunities, and we're not offering it at every school. So I think that when you're concerned about students leaving, you may end up drawing them back into our district because now they're gonna have another option and they don't have to be identified to get that higher quality learning.
So as far as the nurturing, no problem at all. And mind you, this is not personal attacks. This is questions I've been asked, so please don't take it that way. As far as the nurturing program, I understand somebody that's right there at it, you want to try to help them get to it.
Right.
But let's say we've got a classroom of 19 people, 19 students in it. And you got 2 that's right there at it. They come in, those 19 is going to lift them 2. But if you've got 10 that's right there at it, that 10 is not going to be brought up as quick as them 2.
And they may bring that 19 down. You understand what I'm saying? You're gonna have to help them 10 out more than you are them 2.
Not necessarily,
Right,
because
right.
when you get a cohort of students who are like-minded, then they start challenging each other, and then they rise to those expectations.
They become very competitive.
And so, but we look at data with our principals and our teachers. And because we don't want to overpack those classrooms too, you don't want to make them 25. You know, if you've got 13 AIG identified students, you may want to add 5 in there that are on your high level. And then we're going to monitor them. And that's when Ms. Jacobs and I were on campus, because now we don't have to serve them every week. We can go in and work with teachers. We can pull them out for individual services, because we're not tied down to every week being in a school trying to work in our time to get them some services. Because in our plan, we talk about equity and excellence, and it's spreading that around our district and not just keeping it isolated in one place.
So the whole purpose for this is basically just school choice.
It's expanding our services.
Well, obviously, but it was due to school choice. Because teachers, parents are wanting their kids to stay in the other.
Because
schools,
of our
correct?
data is showing that students are staying at their schools.
Okay. Based on school, that's fine. Okay.
I have one last question. Is there any way we talked about these electives? And I know it is a little bit further than just the core of it. Is there any way to get those electives kind of across the district?
We can talk with principals, but you know, I mean, that's something that the schools have owned, what they're able to produce by the classification of their teachers, what their teachers have knowledge in. Like, I know, and I'm gonna mention, because I see a lot of this, Ms. Priest, who does social media. And she's good at social media, so she has that as an elective to publicize all the good things that are happening at Clarkson. Ms. Ruffin has creative thinking, because she was able to fill that position with somebody that she had on campus, or she was able to use that to be able to do that. So sometimes we offer like music and band and art. We offer those commonalities. But then there's times where the schools, when they find personnel to offer different classes for them on the electives. So, I mean, we can try, but I can't say we can promise to have mirrored electives in all 4 of our middle schools. Just because of personnel and their backgrounds and what, because like there's a cooking class, and that's because one teacher took cooking classes and loves to cook. I think that's in Miss Ruffin has that. So, I mean, there's all different kinds. It all depends on the interest of the teachers when it comes to electives and how they use that to tie in their standards. I don't think that they can be a congruency across the district, and
I don't like the word can. We haven't tried yet, so we don't know that we can.
right. I mean,
Okay.
yes.
Until we try and give every child the same opportunity.
We can come up with a list of.
Yeah, okay, I would like to see that.
Okay.
I would like to see that every child, I don't care what district you live in, what school you go to. But if you get it at Tar Heel, you get it at Clarkton, you're getting the same thing. The same quality. Okay?
And one thing, this wants me to speak to what we're doing in terms of scheduling, having all 4 middle schools to have a similar schedule, which we have not had that. That will also help set aside those elective periods and that kind of thing. So can you speak to that, Ms. Whitesmith, about the schedule?
Yeah, we are starting at 7:55. All middle schools will be starting next year at 7:55. We will have the first bell will ring at 8, and they'll have 60 minutes. And after that first period, we are providing a second chance breakfast for those children. So everybody will get a second chance breakfast. And then we will go into the second, third, and fourth period. The fourth period is going to be a little funny at the schools because of the size of the schools and lunches. So fourth period may be a bit longer at some and a little bit shorter. Then the afternoon, but all classes are supposed to be 60 minutes. Then at the end of the day, we'll be releasing at 2:45. And then some of the 2 middle schools want to do homeroom at the end of the day to collect laptops. So we're trying to do a more congruent schedule in our elementary and middle and high schools. High schools was easy because there are 90-minute periods. And we want to offer second chance lunch second chance breakfast and dinner service to all of our middle and high school students.
And we currently don't do that. One of the high schools has the supper program. So one thing I have asked them to do, we know that food insecurity has always been something mindful, that it would be good to offer that at our middle and high. And elementary's even talking about that as well. That second opportunity, if you didn't get there, even if your bus was late, you got there at 8:15, 8:30, you can go through a line again and get a breakfast that you would be having to wait till lunch. We have kids all the time say, I'm still hungry there, so the beauty of the supper program is that kids can grab items and take home with them as well. Or if kids are involved in after-school activities, so sports, clubs, they can grab those as well. So that's the condition that we're adding, and I think it will also help our child nutrition participation. But at the end of the day, it benefits kids to have had that opportunity to make sure that they're getting food throughout the day.
That's a breakfast and lunch or breakfast and dinner.
Well, lunch is default. This would be a second chance breakfast. So if they got there late or, they're rushing in, we'd offer a second opportunity to grab breakfast after that first period. And then the supper program is the end of the day. They'd go through the line or grab and go at the end of the day before they go to the bus or their clubs or anything like that.
I have a question about the second chance breakfast. This is the first time I've heard of it. How long is that period? 5 minutes.
They said they do it at East Blaine. East Blaine said it takes 5 minutes from the get up downstairs to get there. And we've talked to the principals, the middle school principals, and we hope that we can get it done in five minutes, the way we're gonna set up the carts around the school.
They're gonna eat their breakfast. They're gonna go.
You go back upstairs and eat. You eat and learn. It's a chance for the kid to sit there and eat and still work. You're not missing any minutes. It's still peak time of learning.
Yeah, we've had breakfast in the classroom as a standard breakfast for quite some time now. So that will work the same kind of way. They take it back to their class and be able to.
And they got 5 minutes to eat it.
No,
No.
there's a transition, they grab and go, not 5. They can take whatever time they need. No. We have a lot of indigestion. No.
Yeah.
They would grab during that class change. And it may be, the class change may be extended a few minutes, you typically have 7 minutes between classes. We'd add an additional 5 minutes to do that grab and go. So those carts would be placed throughout the school.
So as far as this expansion, are you mirroring the current model that Clarkton School Discovery's got?
Very much a challenge.
So no changes. The teachers that are gonna be at the schools are gonna be 6th, 7th, and 8th. They're gonna have the same teachers for 3 years.
No, sir, that will be different. They will not probably have the same teachers for 6th, 7th, and 8th. They'll be teaching, they'll be mixed. Remember, it'll be a class period, not a whole day of AIG kids. It'll be a class period of like 6th graders during a class period, 7th graders during a class period of AIG. Because we don't have enough numbers to do that for teachers at each school with Project Challenge.
Okay.
It would be a cohort of students and travel.
Ms. White, please work on getting those electives, please.
That's where we meet Thursday.
We need them in every school.
And I will share you all the list of all that they're offering now. So I'll get that. We have principal meeting Thursday, so we can get that.
Yes. please,
And we'll get you a copy of the blank AIG form that parents fill out.
Batman 1 and Batman 2.
They're pretty wonderful, aren't they?
Work on that for us, please.
Get that. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all. And ready to move on. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. We approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? If there's none, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Is none, motion carries. To approve the agenda. Move on to 10.01, consideration of change to student dress code.
Thank you, Chairman Benton and board members. Last month, you all asked to table this, to extend out the survey again. We did get quite a few more results. We received 1,422 responses to the survey. Of those, there was 1,048 who were not in favor of continuing school uniforms and 374 who were in favor of continuing uniforms. That breaks down to be 73.7% not in favor of continuing school uniforms and 26.3% that are in favor of continuing uniforms. We'd like to know what the board's pleasure would be in terms of student dress for the next school year.
Here's a part in the survey, Dr. Atkins.
It was sent out, we've had parents, employees, students themselves, out to the community, so it just varies, so we had various.
We don't know what percentage of the voters were, or the respondents were students.
We could break that down, that doesn't mean I necessarily answered it that way on there, but we could break that down, we could do that. If y'all want to,
Just, I'd like to see that.
sure, we can do that. Break it down. And I can add that to you all.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I need, some sort of motion.
Is this the one that we were going to table it in the absence of our attorney or?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, that's 2 and 4.
I make a motion, we discontinue. And you got the information right there. Doesn't matter who, teacher or parent, wherever, majority is ruling right here. The only thing we have not changed is the shirt. We've already added the blue jeans back in, so the only thing you have is the shirt left. So what's the big, I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't see the problem.
I'm just of the opinion that students would probably not vote for uniform anyhow. That's right. So then I'd really like to know what the breakdown is, and I'd like to know what the parents think about it and the teachers as far as enforcement goes. I'm not dismissing what the students have to say about it or how they feel about it, but just knowing, because I used to be a student, we all were. I probably wouldn't vote in favor of it if I was a student.
Were these responses students or?
It's a mix. They could choose to respond what they were. That some people sometimes do and don't do that right, but this is just a summary of the total responses.
Well, I'm in favor of some motions.
Before we move forward, what is the state on that issue?
A lot of districts that have had uniforms, school districts have discontinued them. Some of the research that has been shared is that initially when uniforms put in, that was thought to help with discipline issues. But what they have been citing recently is that has not been a significant change with uniforms versus without.
Would you say
We do have districts that have had them before. I think Columbus is our closest neighbor that had them previously, discontinued this past school year.
would you say the majority of the districts discontinued?
Understood.
I know several did. I can't say if it was a majority or not, but I know several that did have them, did discontinue them. The ones that a couple I'm aware of that we have.
What we're gonna move, Clark,
Discontinue.
discontinue uniform. Yeah,
All you got left to change is the shirt.
but we're saying do away with uniforms. That's what your motion saying.
Motion to do away with uniforms.
I still think there needs to be some stipulations in it that they have to come to student dress neatly.
Yeah.
I
second
Well, you'll still have a dress code.
Yeah,
It
the
was
dress code,
required by board policy to have a student dress code.
okay, as long as we have the dress code.
I'll share, in fact, Ms. Johnson's not here this evening. She heard us. She just sent me the breakdown. These four groups, 53.1% of the respondents were parents or guardians in total. 18.3% were students. 15.2, well, actually 21 with district employees. 6.5 community member with no children or grandchildren in school. So,
Okay.
so at least half of a percent, 53% of it was parents or guardians.
Good.
You have a second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we do away with the uniforms. Is there any more discussion? We've had most of it. All those in favor, we'll try it in the normal way, and if we don't have a clear choice there, we'll do a head count. All those in favor of doing away with uniforms, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise. Hearing none, motion carries. We go down to 10.03, realignment of elementary grade levels. Dr. Atkinson.
Thank you, Chairman Benton and board members. Last month, we shared information concerning potentially looking at returning fifth grade students to Dublin Primary, Bladen Lakes, Plainview, default, East Arcadia. And the premise behind some of this is we talked about, we do have 6 schools currently at K4. Tar Heel will become a K8 building, obviously by default that will happen in the middle of the year. One of the greatest challenges, I mentioned it here, that falls for elementary schools is only having 1 year of data to determine their growth. Also, many years ago, Bladen County did have 5th grade at all elementary schools, just about configuration. And developmentally, in the perfect world, that was able to happen, that would probably be best. And you hear parents say all the time, their 5th grade is a very tender age to be thrown to a middle school. Obviously, we have 2 large elementary schools. That's not possible until the multi-purpose build additional classrooms. But in the same like manner, we did send a letter home to 4th grade students at those schools. We would still, I think there was a question that came up, we would still have 5th grade at the middle schools. That's not going to change at this point, just because some of these schools don't necessarily feed those particular programs. So we would have a need still to maintain 5th grade at the middle schools. There may be some teaching reassignment to cover those potentially, but we won't know until that's final. Obviously, we would have an approval, we'd be able to get more fine tuned with that. I will share not only for the developmental side, but what this would do if you add 5th grade. We have several of our schools at the elementary level on the low performing schools list. And a lot of that is because of that lack of test scores. So they get dinged. I mean, we had 2 schools, I think, that were within a 1/10 of a point. The others were relatively close from crossing that threshold. With 5th grade, you get 3 assessment scores for growth. You have their 5th grade EOG for reading, the 5th grade EOG for math, and then you get a 5th grade science score. 5th grade science is first tested in the 5th grade. It's done again in 8th grade as well. So with that would provide additional growth measures for those. Our elementary schools as a whole do struggle with that, just because you have that 1 year of growth data that can be used. So we asked families at these 3 schools, and actually, Mr. Edge is here. He actually sent 4 more in favor this afternoon once this was sent to you all, but provide you some of the data that was there. At Bladen Lakes, there were 25 total responses that came in. 21 said yes, they would like that to happen. 4 said no. The reasons that were shared was obviously having a sibling already at Elizabethtown Middle School or another school, and that's understandable. And we would obviously honor that. We do that when we look at our district transfer policies. So for Bladen Lakes perspective, there's 84% that would be in favor of maintaining 5th grade at that school and 16% not. This is coming straight from the families. Dublin had 29 total responses, got 4 more today. That would take them to 33. That would make the percentage, I think, would change. That would now be 27 yes and 6 no. 79.3% in favor of 5th grade being in that school and 21.7% opposed. For East Arcadia, we had 7 responses. All 7 said yes, for a total of 100% who are interested in 5th grade. We do find sometimes, I think the question came up earlier, we're talking about AIG and charter school draws. There are some parents who think about that 5th grade and potentially taking their child outside the system, because as a parent, they may not feel that developmentally that a 5th grader should be at that middle school. And the sole purpose of doing this several years ago as a school system, from what I understand, was because of space issues. That's whenever the state put in the class size restrictions in K3. So that did kind of put a burden on schools. Obviously, Bladenboro and Elizabethtown could not do that at this point. They would need some kind of construction, which we've talked about that in, looking at starting to seek out the multi-purpose and classroom building space. This may be a good opportunity to even potentially pilot this for this year and see how that works. Obviously, we cannot speak to test data because they have not tested yet. We could run a simulation once we get test scores to see what it would look like if those 4th graders were to repeat that same score in 5th grade. We would not really know until we had it for a year. Obviously, we cannot run that without having that data there. I think from parental perspective, it looks like we have support in the majority, quite a bit on that. It'll be up to the board's pleasure if you all would like to move forward with that. And we could make it conditional to try it for a year and see how it works. I don't think we're locked in to keep it that way. Obviously, as a board, we can change configurations at any time, as it relates to a school. You're looking at a total of, there'll be more than 61 responses altogether. And of course, that will be spread across all 4 middle schools. So the impact should not be very major. There again, you're going to have some that just by nature, if I'm a parent at Elizabethtown Middle School and I have a child that's in 7th grade, I may want my 5th grade child there for this at this point while they still got 5th grade, because it makes it easier for me, a parent, to go to one school, pick up with my children. And we would still honor that, obviously. But I'd like to ask what the board's pleasure would be tonight on consideration of realignment of these elementary grades, even if it's for a pilot year, or if you wanted to try it or not try it. But I'd like to know what the board's pleasure is at this time for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the realignment of the elementary grade levels.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. None, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Opposition, motion carries. Okay, then we'll move on down to 10.05 spring 2023 custom policy updates.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, we need to have a vote to remove these policies off the table for consideration. And of course, they're sitting on the table, so we need to have a vote to take them off the table, then the board can take action on those.
Entertain a motion that we remove them from the table.
Yep, these come from the School Board Association, so if you want additional time to review them, we can do that and bring them back at the next meeting. That's the board's pleasure.
We need a motion.
Well, if it's on the table,
Already there.
Already on the table.
it's already on the table, so we can bring them back in June if you need additional time. There are, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Like 300.
There's 20 now. It has been larger than this.
Yeah.
It is a lot. They did give you a summary. There should be a summary table in there, but it's good to look at that. They write these policies for, obviously, for all school boards that are members of that. The board does have the pleasure to recommend any changes for those policies if they'd like to. But if there's anything you all see that you want me to get clarification on the board's behalf for the School Board Association, you'll let me know. I'll reach out to them and share that with you all before next meeting. So if we don't, then the motion will just die and we'll bring it back next month.
Like it's gonna die, so we'll move on to 10.06. Consideration of athletic facility repairs. Mr. Benny Lennon and Coach Patty Evers.
Hey, Mr. Benny.
We get another doctor coming back.
Thank you very much, sir. Good.
Oh, you're. Thank you.
Yeah, they've got everything that's in there, everything that's in there.
Welcome back again for the track and tennis court issues, and hopefully we can come to some kind of agreement today. Tennis tracks. No track is gonna be built until 2024. Now booked up. All over 50. Y'all know another one I'll be glad to call, but called about 50 last week. And all of them didn't tell me, but we can do it 2024.
Meaning 2024.
2024.
Okay, well, just gonna take that long to get some tennis courts in it.
That's the deal.
How long is it gonna take us to get to tennis court?
We move forward with it. We haven't set a date, because we have to get a PO and,
Let me ask you something.
yes, sir.
How much money is it gonna cost us to do this?
Join the tennis courts or the track.
Yeah, why can they do the tennis and not do the track?
Track is, all the companies that do it, if you don't want to come in the fall, they be booked up for the spring. Because most tracks are around football fields, so they got a gateway window when they can do it. If it goes past August, then you can't play football on it. But when the middle of the construction, so most of them that I talked to said that they are booked up and they can start as early as the spring of 2020.
So we've been without tracks. You know, I did it, well, I don't know, they call it investigation. But do you know those schools that put their both east and west without a track? They didn't have a track when those new schools were built. Did anybody know that?
There was a track out there. I've been there since the school opened.
Yeah, but
There was a track.
Certified track.
no.
No, we did have a couple, we did run some track meets. And however, y'all, typically you only host one track meet a year, a school. So we get a new track and then we do our track schedule where everybody in the conference has the opportunity to host track if they have a legal track. Right now, East Blaine does not have a legal track.
That's right.
And there's a lot that's going to go into it. You're going to have to put into the football field and there's a lot of construction that'll go into it.
But did you know those tracks are dangerous out there? They're dangerous for kids to run them. They're even practice on it.
Yeah,
You got rocks sticking up out the trash.
the issue with
It's
the
grass.
track.
We have a lot of grass sticking up out of the track.
I think there's.
I'm talking about the rocks. They even have rocks in it.
Say that again, Mr. Lynn.
There were 6 lanes back then, now they're 8 to be certified. So the issue's gonna come going around the track, you gotta make it wider. So
Sure.
And Mr. Lynn, a question too on this, on the price, are they including expansion too on the track?
right now, you go to the bottom.
Okay.
He said the worst case scenario would be that bottom number.
So 350, okay.
Yeah, because
And that would-
they have to re-mill and reset. And then you go with the rubberized, something.
So he said he can't get it to 2024.
I talked about 50 companies. All of them saying they couldn't do it.
But this guy here, he gonna do it for 350,000.
It'll still be next year.
Yeah, so
So is this the only, I'm sorry, Mr. Rhodes, is this the only estimate that you have for?
No, it's 3. He said.
I mean, these three, these the only ones you got. You say you call 50.
Yeah, but they're not just gonna give you an estimate like that, they gotta come out. And some of those are from 4 or 5 states over. First thing they ask, do you got the money?
We got the money. We got the money. What you tell them?
I don't have the money.
Well, we wouldn't have to do the estimate if we didn't have the money. We wouldn't have to do the estimate if we didn't have the money.
So this is what I told them, we starting up, we're gonna try to get tracks. So we need a basic quote, what it can cost from low end to top end. To give y'all a money figure of how much it's gonna cost.
so when you get that money figure, what do you do with that?
That's in the quote.
Yeah, when you get that quote, what do you go to Jason?
And you get 3 quotes and we turn it in, I turn it in to Dr. Atkinson.
And then he tell you he had the money?
I don't know if we got all of it. I don't have it.
That's where I'm going with it.
I don't think we would have to get an estimate if we didn't have the money.
Well, we
Nothing with it.
The money.
As far as my job, I don't see the money.
Yeah, it's yeah.
That's what I can say.
And this will be one of those things, and Ms. Harrison, correct us if I'm wrong. This is one of those things, obviously, you know, when we're going back and forth between obviously tennis and track. There's a little bit of money left in that hurricane money that could go toward one, that's kind of calculated. And then obviously what we would do is whichever direction you all went, we put that in our capital outlay when we, you know, obviously that request comes, we'd make sure this would go on that list, because as you all know, at this point, any of our projects for capital outlay, we have to go to the county commissioners. It's money that belongs to the school system, but we have to take those projects to the county on a regular basis to get those approved. So if you all elected to approve, I guess this would be they can't do it 2024 with 23-24 funds. And we would have to say, as a board, we're going to approve this with 23-24 budget. We'd have to go to the county and say, as a part of our capital outlay, we're requesting to use this total of our capital outlay budget toward replacement of tracks and get the commissioners to approve.
So I think my question now is the money there to do that?
We have not, we haven't gotten a figure for 23-24. We have capital outlay, have we?
We have not received a figure for 23-24 as of yet. But we do have a contingency money that is sitting out there that hasn't been used in past years. And they just roll it over every year if you don't use it. So that funding is out there.
Ms. Harrison.
There is funding to do it.
And we could take that, so I know we can't expand it yet because we'll have to do a purchase order. So that will carry over for us. If it's done in 24, that carries over. We just pay that bill once we cut the PO now and then have to reissue it, obviously, in the fiscal year. And then once we go through the approvals, we can just pay it in 24.
Correct.
Okay.
I got a question. It does not look like the West Track. You know, they don't look alike. The West Track look like it may be official. An official chart.
No, it ain't. It's not.
It's not.
If you want to see a nice official track, go to St. Paul's. Awesome. Top of the line.
And they have over 1,200
Top
kids.
of the line. Top of the line. It's awesome, man.
All the schools have tracks.
And the last bid, the one for $350,000, that does include bringing them up to the official standard. Because I didn't
Where they pass and
I didn't see it. I didn't see that mentioned here. Did I miss it?
no, he didn't put it on there, but that's what it is though.
Okay.
That's that.
And none of the other bids include that expansion?
With those bids, it's just a load of hopper. It depends, because they're gonna have to come out, if they got a mill to track, then the price goes up, so everything that they do.
Right.
The tracks are good enough for them to fill it, and then go over it, it will be cheap.
So which one of these estimates include expanding getting the extra lanes and bringing us to the bottom one? Okay, thank you, sir.
That's the only one we had, but we had to get pricing back from them too, if they needed to do the whole thing with the additional lanes.
So these other ones don't cover that.
Some of the other ones do. The other, not though, you talking about the ones on top of that list?
Mhm.
No, that's just covering the track, is not the expansion. Gotta make it wider.
Yeah. The other, they don't have the expansion in these numbers.
No, that's just covering, but he said the bottom will cover everything.
For
I like the bottom
Don't
number.
have.
I like the bottom number.
Yes. The other two quotes, they did not give us a price on.
I like that number. We got 350
The other two quotes, the one from SCS
and one.
and the one from
These blades,
Sports.
Same money.
They did not Give us a price on.
same money.
We need to get that.
Okay, so
Same money.
all we have on expansion is just this one price.
And then 379 at West. Okay, 379, 390 at
We had
West.
to ask
75 of these.
Yeah.
first two quotes.
We saved 25,000.
Price on expansion, then we can.
But they ain't gonna be able to do that.
Wait a minute, I'm hearing too much stuff. One of you talk at a time, please.
On the, just for clarification, I've asked Mr. Leonard, on the two track quotes that the board has in board docs, this is the third one. The other two do not have a price for the expansion. We'd have to go back to them and get a price for the expansion to make it regulation track. This one you said, Mr. Leonard, is the only one.
Yeah.
That had quoted $350 a track. So the other two quotes would have to go back and give us a price on the expanded part. That's just the resurfacing they have now. And I think we've got two things going here. Just for clarification, on the tennis courts, that quote didn't change from last month, did it? Okay.
No, but he said it might, because first time I presented to the board was June 6, 2022. About to be June 6, 2023.
So are they playing tennis now?
We just finished, and they start up July 31st.
Okay.
So if we don't get tennis court fixed, they're still not gonna have any.
You got 4 teams that will not be able to play, and they'll have to either travel away or play at the county park, and that, you play on the same day.
Well, it makes sense to me, let's fix tennis courts, and we
That's
can't do the tracks until 23, 24 anyway.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it, I mean, I want them both fixed, and I've been advocating for that since I've been on the board and left and came back. But it's just common sense to me, if they start tennis back up at 1st of August or the end of July, we need to get tennis courts done, and it seems like we've got a roadblock on the tracks anyway. Let's get tennis court, let's get something fixed.
That's right.
I'm in agreement.
Thing of it is, you, like she said, you can play tennis at the county park.
There's only 3 courts. You have to have 6 courts. To get it done before 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. I mean, I'm just, just throwing that out there. That, like, East Blade has hosted the conference tennis tournament for men and women for like the past 4 years for the conference.
East Blade do.
East Blade does. Yes, sir.
Well, if we had some tracks out there, we could have done that for track 2. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we need some tracks.
We needed tracks for 23 years.
Because
we needed tracks for 23 years. And we still don't have them.
I think we need to move forward with both. The tennis courts now, and the track in 24.
I disagree.
I disagree also, Mr. I mean, why? I mean, I don't see how they can pave those tennis courts and not pave the track courts.
Well, the man just said he couldn't.
Yeah, there's not a contractor available this year.
Well, we can't do the track until 24 anyway.
I talked to, said that because I found there is.
I foresee that waiting until 2024, we're gonna run into a problem, and then we're gonna forget about these tracks. And based on the fact that we have not supported that sport like we should at either school, that's a problem.
That's a big problem.
I want both done.
You got 60-some kids at East Bladen that are trying to run track.
I want both done.
Those same,
Y'all can.
this is not geared toward you. It's not geared toward you.
Last meeting we were at,
I'm
Ms.
speaking facts.
Her daughter was the last one that ran track.
Speaking facts.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure what the total number is at West Bladen, but I do know that track supports other sports.
Can we agree? Can we agree tonight to move forward?
I'll make a motion that we table it.
Hold 1 second.
To the next.
Can we move forward?
I'll second that.
Construction of the 24 with the track. Can we approve that tonight?
Good, all you'll have tonight you don't have the other 2 prices, but the 350, I mean, it's not far from. I think the other, if I recall, one of those was 200,000 just for resurfacing. I would think.
I think you need to call the other 2 companies, and make it fair across the board.
That's right.
So you would need to, because they don't have a price for the expansion on the other.
That's what I'm saying, man.
I can't believe that the past board members that allowed this to go this far.
I have a question about the tennis courts. And it wasn't, and I spoke with you like about a week ago, and you had told me that it was 2 years ago that the tennis courts were resurfaced.
At West Blade now, yeah, I saw that.
It's only a couple of years ago.
About 3 they passed.
And West cannot play on their course at all.
But the money was spent, and now here we are 2 years later and we're having problems again. So my question is, if we go ahead and if we were to approve construction of the tennis court, how long is that going to last? And then are we going to be right back here again 2, 3 years from now?
So that'll be a not passing. That's gonna be tearing it up and totally redoing it.
Okay.
Well, the problem is in the tracks, I guess, from hurricanes and stuff also, the water's coming from underneath it. That's why it's putting those cracks. When they patched it, it pushes it back up every time we get a lot of rain.
So I think we can learn from that, that they're spending good money on patching it over again, because it's going to happen again.
And if I remember correctly, they've been patched twice.
They have.
Twice they've been repatched.
What,
Tennis court. Yeah, and can you tell me,
was East done?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me just about how much money we spend in those days?
We could find out. I don't remember. Ms. Harris could look it up. I was, yeah, you weren't. We could look back and see.
The 2 patches.
On the quote, it got a price patch on there.
But I don't know how much was paid.
Yeah, what it was.
How much they paid.
Yeah, we could look back. As if I recall, they were patched twice. And we could look back and try to find those total, how much we paid on that. But, you know, that was twice they were doing, and even then, it hindsight, it should have been, because I was not in this position, something weren't his. Of course, we know at that point, they were just patched. You know, it probably should have been redone then. And we probably wouldn't be here. I don't know what kind of warranty we didn't find out about warranty. What kind of warranty they give Mr. Lennon on? I guess on either one, on both of them, we didn't know what kind of warranty we had.
Yeah, Ms. Lynn, I appreciate you getting the information together. You know, I would say we need to get those other two figures like Mr. Clark said.
Yeah.
And we need to get our kids some tracks.
Yeah. And I'm not.
I'm sure that not only track coaches appreciate that, but I think the football coaches would appreciate it too.
I believe everybody here want a track field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I coached
I ain't
track
gonna
for
say
30 years. I know the value of track. I believe that
That was the case
All schools should
to have
have
years ago.
a track. Hold 1 second. All schools should have a track. I believe that. So let's make that point clear. We're all in agreement that we need and want a track. But are we just going to sit down and do nothing while we wait until 24? That's the question.
And
We don't get a motion to move forward, we still wait.
One quick thing, just for
I got-
clarification, I don't even know, and we have to look back, if those repairs even came to the board, if the board had knowledge of those at that time. I'm not sure if the board approved them, or it was just something that administration did. I don't know.
They did.
Did y'all, okay,
There was
I could-
one, Mr. Worley was here. They patched them.
and I think it was, Mr. Nealon too was one of those as well. So we had to go back and look. I said, I don't know I'd be telling you something wrong and I won't mislead you. But Ms. Harrison, I could try to look back and see what has been done, what years those patches were done. If we can find it, and the cost of those patches were at both tennis schools.
Well, like I said, I make a motion that we move it to the next meeting, and so we can get those figures.
I second.
Don't do nothing.
Okay, I have a motion that we put this off till the next meeting and a second. Any more discussion?
How much you said price would go up? It's been a year now, right?
I don't know yet. He just said he would honor it because, you know, I've been talking back and forth with him, but
Thank you so much for that.
I can ask, but I'll have the other two companies and get them the fair share of what it's gonna cost to expand it and build it like.
And then one more question, sir. And you had told me that tennis is a twice-a-year event, right? And then it's going to start up again in July.
July 31st.
If this thing gets approved next month, when could this be? When can the tennis courts be?
Well, actually, I can get it tomorrow and I can give you a call.
Okay.
I'll make contact with you, so you. Yeah.
Send us an email.
Yeah, the next meeting is February 14th.
As part of the discussion, I don't know if the chairman I'm supposed to discuss or not, I don't know. But we put it off another month. I'm afraid we're not gonna have tennis courts ready.
June 12th.
Why? I'm sorry, I have a hard time swallowing this one. Mr. Lennon has stated that it's gonna be next year before they can fix the tracks. We agree, we want the tracks fixed. Everybody agrees with that.
Everybody want that.
But if they can fix the tennis court, now go ahead and do the tennis courts.
He doesn't know when he gets.
Well, it doesn't, I mean,
Do nothing.
go ahead and start moving forward with something.
Mr. Clark, when is he gonna fix the tennis court?
He don't know
They're not
that
gonna
either.
give me a date.
That's what I'm saying, man.
The way it works is, they're not gonna give me a date until I produce a PO. That way they know it's business.
But obviously, the longer
Well,
it
the
takes.
PO is the easy part. That's the easy part. I think Mr. Jason will take care of that. But at the end of the day, my thing is this, and I'm gonna say it one last time and I'm gonna leave it alone. We've neglected the track team. We've neglected at both schools, not just one high school, but both. We spent money twice on those tennis courts and we should have fixed them then. Should have fixed them then.
That's why we're here today.
And we didn't. It's kind of like we went back and fixed that road over there in the parking lot. We should have fixed it right the first time.
Should have, would have. Forward, quit talking about backwards. We're talking about the past. We got.
Two things to clarify, the meeting's June 12th, not 14th. And second, I understand Mr. David, but I cannot issue a purchase order beyond 90,000 as superintendent without.
We know that.
Yeah, so, no, we don't want.
We ain't gotta put that out there.
Trouble, but,
We know that.
but, yes, Ms. Harrison.
If you wait until next month, till June the 12th to approve it, the funding will not be available because June 30th cuts off our. So funding will not be available to pay for that by July 31st, if you're gonna get them done by July 31st.
Okay, we have a motion to wait the next month. All those in favor of waiting the next month to do anything, let be known by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. No. I'd say motion failed. Everyone in agreement on?
I make a motion that we go, that since that one failed, that we go ahead and take care of the tennis courts. However, we also put on the agenda, talking about the proposing the, acceptance or vote on the tracks. So that's the only way I can think to keep that front and center, so nobody's worried about it being forgotten.
Second.
Any more discussion? Okay, we
I
have,
don't even know what his motion is.
repeat your motion, please.
It's not clear.
Making a motion to go ahead and do the tennis courts and keep the track on the agenda, so it's not forgotten like you're afraid of.
What do you mean keep it on the agenda? I mean, we can put it on the agenda anytime.
Yeah, we can keep it on the agenda too. If we want to keep tabling it until then, that's fine, but it's front and center, it won't be forgotten.
Are you making a motion that we approve the tracks be done?
Approve the tennis courts and keep the track on the agenda, so it can't be not in your face. Because if the money's not there, we ain't gonna be able to do none of it until the next budget year.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Okay.
We're gonna get around and get ready to do some tracks and we ain't gonna have the money to do it. I want tennis courts like everybody else wants tennis courts. But at the end of the day, we've neglected the track team for years. We neglected, and at the end of the day, you say what you want to say, but some of the same ones are sitting here agreed to it. They allowed it to go on. They allowed it to go on. You were here and you could have fixed it and you didn't. You did nothing for these kids. There's 67 kids out there that's running their heart out. Not only that, since we on the motion, there's not one banner in that school gym for either one of those kids. It ain't about the coach and it ain't about the school and it ain't about the principal. It's about those kids. And you didn't put one banner in not one gym, and they've got regional.
I can answer that for you, why it's not. The banners in the gym are for conference championships, which we're doing a cross-country one this year. It is team. We have not won but one conference team championship. If we did individuals in the gym, you would run out, we would already be out of space.
I'm not asking for individuals.
It's a team. If West Plains girls team just won the track conference championship, they would have a banner in that team.
Okay, I have can we motion to approve both? To do both? Put both on the same, I mean, we're not gonna put one in front of the other. Can we do that? Can we make a motion tonight to approve the construction of the track in 24 and the construction of the tennis court starting now? Can we do that?
We have a motion and a second on the
But
floor.
we
If
didn't
he
have
will
a
agree
second.
to.
We didn't have a second for that motion.
I thought we did have a second.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But if you will agree to amend your motion.
Yeah.
That we
We
approve
go ahead,
both.
and if we can go ahead and approve the one in 2024 for the track and approve the tennis courts now.
Don't we need two more bids to move forward on that?
Yeah.
Well, we can't
We
do
don't need
anything
them to
tonight.
vote on it, though.
That's why I said move it to the next meeting.
Need for them to move forward.
I said move it to the next meeting.
We're gonna have to find available.
Or we can have a special call meeting.
If we can't vote for both tonight, then we have no other choice but to move forward. Table.
How long before you can get us those other two figures?
For the tennis courts or the track? The track, the total.
The track.
Yeah, the tracks.
I can call them in the morning.
Thank you, sir.
Can you call a special meeting and next
I
Monday or?
can call them, get it said, and I can get up with Dr. Atkinson and he can.
And Ms. Patty, I want to make sure you understand, this is not give to you personally.
Okay.
Equity, we need equity. I'm serious, I'm serious.
You made me feel.
No, ma'am, I'm apologizing to you in public, okay? If you felt that way, please accept my apology, because that's not the way it.
I'm gonna tell you this, feel free to call me anytime you want to, if you have a question about athletics at East Bladen. Because I know how some people can be, and they're gonna get in your ear and they're gonna tell you things that aren't true.
Okay, and that happens at both high schools. Matter of fact, it happens at all the schools, but for that fact, I just want to make sure you understand, I want all of them to have the same thing.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And just like the other schools are making money on track, we can make it too. We produce, I mean, come on, man.
This is the thing.
We produce true athletes here.
So here's the thing that people don't see and they don't know from an athletic director standpoint. You don't know the money that I have.
Well, that's
poured
not
into
an
track.
immediate motion. That's a change.
On the road, hotel room, all of that stuff. You're not told that. That's
No,
what you don't.
I haven't been told the official number, but I've been told something. I'll just say that.
I travel with the track team, Ms. Evans.
That's good. I appreciate it.
I see what they do.
I've been told.
I travel with them.
That's great.
I follow that west too. Yeah, but and like I said, I appreciate everything you do. I'm sure the rest of the board members appreciate it as well. You know, you're a good athletic director. You are. We just want to support every sport and give every kid the opportunity to excel in that area.
So we can do a special call meeting.
Wait a minute. I had a motion and a second to finish this tennis court. Then you were going to do an amendment to the motion. And I never heard a second to your amendment, and personally, so your amendment died, so we still have a motion on the floor to fix the tennis courts. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, likewise. Here's none. Motion carries to fix the tennis court.
Now, can I ask a question for clarification? Would the board like a special call meeting if we get the prices?
Yeah.
Because
Special call meeting for next.
the vice had a motion on the floor to move it to the next meeting so that we could get those numbers, and we just overlooked that motion.
He made a motion and it died due to a lack of a second.
Also, what is the tennis courts were the time sensitive issue, because if we didn't do it now, it couldn't be done with the money that we have, but we don't have the same time urgency because they can't get to the track until 2024. Am I understanding that?
That's mine.
So do we really need to have a special meeting next month, or can we go ahead and take care of this at our next scheduled meeting?
I mean,
We're not forgetting the tracks.
Right.
We're gonna approve the track.
Right.
We have enough support to
I'm just saying that because we
It's
have,
just a matter of getting the number. But we are gonna approve the track.
but we don't need an emergency meeting to approve the track.
No.
I don't see that.
I think everybody's in agreement.
More anyway.
you all want me to place that on the agenda for the June meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll have, what I can do is once Mr. Lynn gives me the prices, I will go ahead and send all the board the 3 prices that we've received for the tracks. And we'll put it as an action item.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank y'all. Okay, 10.07 loan services contract, Ms. Susan Harrison.
Yes, sir, Mr. Taylor, board member, you have before you the board docs, we did a request for proposals, an RFP for loan services for our schools. Because in the past, we've had different companies doing schools here and there and just paying individually that way. We did a proposal sent out, advertised like the requirements state, publicly, website, all the different advertisement, and you have before you a rubric that tells you based on them having their general liability, workers' comp, their auto liability references and the cost. And administration is recommending M&C Lawn Care. They came at $99,936 for all lawn services for all of our schools, all 12 schools. We're just asking for approval for that to take.
Make a motion.
How many bids do we have, Mrs. Ms. Harris?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're in your board docs.
Are any of these members, can the board members or can to?
I have no idea.
Okay.
That was not in the. I mean, I don't have any idea.
That's second motion.
Okay, well.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And what exactly was, can we get a repeat on the motion?
I made it. Motion to accept.
To approve the lawn service contract.
Okay. Second. Motion and we already had a second to approve the loan service contract. Any more discussion?
How much is that bid?
That's high.
$99,936.
It is 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
39.
Harrison can explain the rubric and
The rubric required that they had general liability, workers' comp, and auto liability insurance. And Cape Fear Lawn Control did not
Can they get it?
provide that.
Can we ask-
RFP stated they had to submit it with the RFP.
Okay.
That's 694. How many times a month they gonna be mowing?
I think it's every 2 weeks. There it is. Twice a month.
Okay.
For mowing, weed eating, edging, trimming of bushes, picking up trash, blowing grass debris off parking lots, catch basins, and sidewalks.
Gotcha.
This is for all the lawn and all the lawn care services other than the athletic fields, because our athletic folks like to do their own.
Is it counting here at the district office?
No, maintenance will continue on the district.
And Booker too.
Yes.
yeah, they do all of our district maintenance, transportation, and cooking. We just.
This is just.
And of course, PCC takes care of for the college.
We're gonna motion. In a second.
Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those likewise, is none opposed and carries. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel as per NCGS 143.3 to consult with an attorney. We don't have one tonight. If needed, as per NCGS 143.3, and to discuss student reassignment and student discipline as per the 1974 Family Rights and Privacy.
I move that we go in closed session. Second.
Then moving proper second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed likewise, is none.
We have the invitation.
We come out of closed session.
Mr. Chair, I move that we come out of closed session.
Moving properly second, and we come out of closed session, and all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise, is none. Motion passes. We are now back in open session. And at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion that we approve the personnel action items discussed in executive session.
Chair, I move that we approve the personnel item discussed.
Second.
Moving properly second, and we approve the action items. Is there any discussion? Is none. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed likewise. Is none. Motion carries. At this time, we'll go to number 13, matters of interest to board members. Let's start with Mr. Clark, and we'll work back this way. Oh, good to go. Mr. Davis?
No.
I got a couple. Dr. Atkinson, have we figured out anything about the salary study or redistricting?
Miss Harrison is working on, finding out who all does those, get some pricing on that for you all. As far as redistricting, obviously now with approval of fifth grade, that's a pretty extensive process, so we'd probably look at, finding out what we need to do. There are a couple of consultants that do that across the state. Reach out to them to see what that cost may be, and a couple of said it done on their own. So obviously by doing that, it gives opportunity. That takes some time. There may be, I had to talk to Mr. Gray, there may be a couple of statutory things we have to do for doing redistricting. He and I'll work through that. I'll share information with you all next month. Kind of what I found out, who does it, what it costs, what it would take, but that'd be something obviously we wouldn't have in place for our 23-24 school year, but something we could study. And then the board can take action on that to potentially look at changing attendance zones for the 24-25 school year.
All right. Got one more thing and I'm done. Mr. Benny stayed after. Thank you, Mr. Benny. Any progress there in hiring you guys, your electrician or?
Not an electrician yet. I think we got one we're gonna try to hire for this run with the cafeteria. And some help in that area.
Is he licensed? Is he licensed? No? Okay.
Now, they, I put a dental maintenance salary, you can get that. Love it, but
I know, I didn't know exactly what position.
yeah, it's the fixed cafeteria, our equipment in there, keep the cafeterias going.
Dr. Atkinson, obviously, you, and this has been talked at, I think, ad nauseum here between this board and the prior board. How can we justify hiring someone with a license as general maintenance?
Well, in the case of an electrician, that would be a certified, I mean, that person has to be an electrician. It depends on how that job is advertised. So if we're asking for an HVAC person, you put that in the credential. So we had general maintenance as the one for this particular position he's talking about. We've had an electrician out there, hadn't had a big hit. And one thing that's challenging is that the maintenance department, along with technology, a couple others, those are locally paid.
Yeah.
So, you develop a local schedule. Ms. Harrison, you remember, I don't remember, it's been probably about a year and a half ago, the board redid classifications for that scale, but there's not a big window in that. That's why we're hoping that maybe the salary study information may help us make that case. Because then there's talk about, Ms. Harrison, remind me, they were looking at trying to develop a state schedule for some of those. Now, you got pay grades that state suggest on that. There was talk about the state doing pay schedules for non-certified, but the problem is state didn't fund all those positions. So I think it's going to be, I recommend it to there. I don't think they've made any progress on that yet.
They're still working on it.
So I'd be interested to see what that looks like too. But I think between that salary study, we have a kind of an idea, but we'd have to advocate at all levels of funding for any changes on that.
Well, I mean, I get that. I just know, like I said, it's been talked about so much and Mr. Benny needs help. We all know that. And I think that some of those jobs could be done if we paid our own person to do it a whole lot cheaper than if we paying somebody $100 an hour.
And see, one thing they could look at too is are there eligible employees that could go and get certifications?
Yeah, because you could do like you did with Mr. Hemingway, I believe you told me, he sold his credentials to the county. Oh, my bad.
Well, it depends on the different levels, positions.
Sorry, y'all sue me.
I mean, that was before my time. There was an agreement made for percentage on that thing, so I couldn't tell you the ins and outs, Mr. Lockwood, on that. But, you know, any changes to pay schedules, we had to have more proof out there. So what we had to look at, you know, that was a different case. I wasn't involved with that, but I can't speak to anything there on that.
Rewind, delete.
But, you know, there is, and that's the one of the challenge I think for folks is they get a license in an area, they can work in a private sector and a whole lot more money. Or depending on how that license, if the license belongs to some district or belongs to the employee, they could do part-time work on design. I think a lot depends on where that license is involved. And that might be that case in that situation. I don't know how to turn on that, but that is something to think about.
Mr. Benton, may I ask a question, please?
Yes.
This is also for Mr. Lennon. Do you have any kind of update on those school repairs that we talked about 2 months ago? I know you probably don't have it all right now.
What is he talking about?
Well, we had E-Town Little, we had there was Bladenboro, there was a couple of them.
Yeah, with the paint and all of that stuff.
Yeah, the painting and
Start.
June the 5th, they're gonna start on up.
Get painted, so.
So they're gonna do it over the summer.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. That's good. That's good. All right.
Coach, you got anything?
What, and then we've been talking about this, and I don't want to keep kicking it down the road. What would it take to go ahead and add to the next agenda, adjusting the pay scale to make it more competitive so that somebody would answer an ad so that Mr. Lennon can have a certified plumber and certified electrician?
That'll be figured into the budget, wasn't it? And that's already done. We're working on next year's
Oh, we
budget.
got extra money. We know, Ms. Harrison got us on that.
Now, those positions are paid from local, so that was not part of the budget request. Doesn't mean the board cannot examine that.
That'll be old.
And you, sometimes with pay scales, you do phase implementation. What you got to look at too is compression. That's been one of the big issues now with the way the state's doing their pay scales. You bring in, say, a beginning person at a certain level, but you've got someone with 20 years that's not making much difference. That's not fair. And that the state hadn't done anything on their part. But that's one factor about pay scales that sometimes get missed is long-term employees that have been there 15, 20 years. So it really becomes, it's a much bigger, that's why I'm hoping that, you know, if we can, I don't know, I wouldn't begin to tell you how much a salary stuff costs. That's what Ms. Harris is looking at.
Can we ask for a little bit extra money from the county? I mean, they haven't approved our budget yet. We sent it to them. We can always do an amendment.
Well, and also
Y'all could do that.
the people that have been there a long time and maybe resentful of somebody coming on board brand new, making something similar. What has kept any of these long time employees from pursuing a license? So it's kind of like, if they're going to complain, it's like, well, hey, you know, you've had the chance to go and get your license.
Right.
Yeah, but is that license gonna equate to more money? Cause I wouldn't get it if it's not going to.
It will, but what he says is that they can go work in the private sector to get made real.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's a challenge for school systems, and that's not just for maintenance, even transportation. We've got there's folks that train for a bus class and they can go to the city of Fayetteville starting at $22 an hour.
Can there be a stipulation where the license, you know that you have to stay with Bladen County School?
For X number of years.
Yeah.
If the district paid for the license, you can put that stipulation or have to be paid back. Because that's typically done with tuition reimbursement. If an employee leaves before that time, they have to pay that back. That's something you could look at maybe doing. So that's an option.
Mm-hmm.
That's something.
And do you have somebody that's just looking at it as far as filling the position?
Electrician position,
Yeah.
they're not gonna come with that back.
No, I'm saying if we were able to,
Well, I used to ask, I don't know anybody. That's the first thing to ask, is what you paying.
Do you have anybody currently that works for you that will be willing to go get certified?
I can ask.
Very good.
Honestly, I don't know.
And also, Mr. Lennon, do you know what pay is considered competitive? Have you looked at the pay and in other words, do you know what figure that
We need to
you
put out?
advertise? Because we have to know what we need to ask for.
I can ask around the different counties.
Okay.
And see what they're, so we'll be overpaying somebody.
Very good.
Yeah, you better, I can get that.
Great. Thank
And
you.
county government may be another option to check with them too. What does county government's pay? Maybe that's
Yeah.
December, so we're gonna get well rounded. So
Big good start.
we can get that information, maybe bring that back to you all next month as information, if you can have it.
Good.
Maybe by then we can have just a proposal too on a salary study, what it may cost. So,
Hey, we'll go to number 14, Chair's report. I have absolutely nothing.
all right. Got it covered. Just a piece of good news, legislative update. House Bill 219 passed the House this week. It did not include that Part 7. We had very trouble about with our Fund 8, so
Good.
that's good. That would have threatened to transfer millions of dollars each year from school systems to charter schools. And of course, they had some other things in that bill that they continue. One thing they kept in there was to allow county commissioners to provide capital funding to charter schools. That doesn't mean county commissioners have to, but that gives county commissioners options to fund, give charter schools capital money if they choose to. So that's one thing that was in that. It's gone to the Senate. And we make crossovers. Other bill, and I made a phone call today, but I had learned about this, and Harrison maybe I'll speak more about it. There was a bill introduced to the Senate, but it did not make crossover. I called NCASA today. But what we got to understand, just because the bill doesn't make crossover, doesn't mean sometimes they can slide it in with another bill. Sometimes budget bills are synonymous for that. They'll put it in with a budget bill and try to get it passed through. But this Senate Bill 670 that was proposed was to overhaul North Carolina's way it funds public schools. So now we use a PRC system. They tell us you have X number of dollars for classroom teachers. You have X number of dollars for, rural low income schools. You have X number of dollars for whatever those different account codes necessarily are. Well, this particular proposal was to move to what's called a whole funding approach, whole school district funding, where they would basically put all the money in one pot with limited restrictions, so districts could use it kind of as they see fit. However, when the North Carolina justice system, and I'll send you all a copy of this PDF, I got my hands on this. We had a meeting Friday, a virtual meeting with the North Carolina Low Wealth Consortium. Bladen County is a part of that, one of the schools that falls under that. We receive specific low wealth money from North Carolina. That's what we've typically in the past helped with SROs, classroom teachers, when you have those shortfalls, assistant principals, that kind of thing. But unfortunately, the way they have laid this out initially, and it comes on the end of the Leandro case, because there was a directive there about that equitable funding. Well, and it recommends this kind of model, but with the right formulas. Well, based off of this, what they're looking at is it'll be a base dollar amount per child. And they would just look at a few categories. For example, students in K-5 have a weight, 812 has a weight, economic disadvantage has a weight. Districts who has less than 3,300 students, that is not us, that's considered a small county district. Bladen doesn't fall in that category. Students with disabilities, students in community programs, and LEP, which is limited English proficient. This is the scary part. The way they work this formula in the draft is that it's going to take money away from rural districts like us. And when you go to that whole formula, it goes to everybody. So the urban districts will benefit and city school systems will benefit. I'll give you an example. Whiteville City, which is in Columbus County, Whiteville City would have actually, based on this model, I don't know, Waffle City would gain $730,000 their state budget. But Columbus County schools would lose $6 million.
God.
Wait a minute. Bladen County, if this formula was to go through, and I just want to say they haven't, NCASA, School Board Association, everybody's on top of this, Local Health Consortium. If they were to fund us based off this initial weight, now, this was one of those kind of bills that kind of got slid in. It didn't make crossover, but it doesn't mean it won't come back in something else. It kind of slid in toward the end of the window. Bladen County would lose 18.47% of state funding we have now. That would be $6,704,090. There is no way that we could do that. And and that's why we had the consortium met. And I didn't know anything about it. I got just parts of that day. I thought it was phone calls today to to the School Administrators Association. And it's just unbelievable the impact that would have. Now, if it's fully funded back to where you would have and even more, that would be one thing, but it's almost like it's been proposed to underwrite what Leandro was trying to get fixed for school districts like Bladen County. So I want to put on your radar, it didn't make crossover, but we're going to watch this very closely. Now, if the board would like for me to, obviously, I can send a letter that gives our stance on how this would negatively impact Bladen County.
Yeah.
And that on behalf of our board and district administration, we believe that, this needs to be looked at if the state was to move this. One of the other problems about this bill was it was going to be a cold turkey cutover July 1 if they were going to get it through. None of us, superintendents, finance officers, have had absolutely no training in this. You're going to move us from a system we've been on for quite some time where everything is easily accounted for and put us with a bucket of money. That would be $6 million less if this formula went through, and have us to try to figure all that. So there's no learning curve, there's no training. So what Miss Elizabeth Everton shared today, she's one of the staff attorneys, or she's legal affairs, but she's an attorney, I think, with the North Carolina Association of School Administrators. They already jumped on this. And she was saying that they talked to one of the bill sponsors, and what they're looking at is potentially doing it as a pilot with some districts to see how it would work. I hope we're not paying for that pilot. But unless you all have this approval, I know we don't necessarily need to vote. I will draft a letter to stand like we did with our resolution. If y'all are fine with it, stating our opposition about this whole model as it's currently proposed, and that we would favor an equitable model if we were restored with full funding. So if y'all have an issue with that, I'll be happy to issue a letter on our behalf for that. Other things, just to let you all know, there's an early release this Friday. Our staff all across the district are going to be involved in testing training, so kids will leave early on Friday, and as soon as testing training is over, we'll dismiss staff as well, kind of to get everyone ready, because we'll be starting that time of testing coming up. EOG testing will be taking place May 23rd through 25th, and EOC May 26th through June 2nd. As I shared last month, we'll be doing early release days from May 26th on, the last 5 days of school. So be mindful of that. That will be communicated out to families. Last day for students, right around the corner, June the 2nd. Last day for 10-month staff is June 9th. I'll be sending you all information about high school graduation, so you can let us know if you're going to attend or not. You'll receive 2 tickets, one for you and one for a guest.
Yes.
So we'll send it out to you all. And if you get at Ms. Johnson, which ones you plan to attend, I'll give you those dates right now. And I'll also send it to you in email. Early college is Friday, June 2nd, and East and West, and that'll be at BCC. And West Bladen will be in the morning on June 9th, and East Bladen will be in the afternoon on June 9th. We'll send that to you. If you let us know which ones you plan to attend, we'll get those tickets to you all. We are doing a second chance testing window, the summer intensive. That's June 12th through 16th. That's all schools doing that. So any of those that are in tested grade, they'll get an opportunity to provide remediation, and hope to give students an opportunity to test another time to bring those grades up if they need to. Read to Achieve, the state is only requiring that for grades 2 and 3 this year. That will start at the same time, but that has to take place through June 27th. That will take place at all elementary schools. And then all schools and departments, as we've done in the past, will transition to the 4-day work week beginning on Monday, June 19th, and that will go through Friday, August the 14th, so the buildings will all be closed on Fridays during that time. So that's all I have for tonight. We do appreciate you all, and I thank you for.
Thank you, Dr. Atkins. Entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Proper second, all those in favor, let me know.